Hi guys, it's RJ, and I just wanted to let everyone know who's watching on YouTube today that unfortunately we did not get all of the film for the video because the camera cut out about 11 minutes in. So I just wanted to let you guys know that it will cut to just the Coffee Bros logo throughout the video, but the audio will still be playing, so you will still get that nice view of us for a bit, and then you'll get our voices. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Hi guys, welcome to episode 0 of the Coffee Bros podcast. My name's RJ Berry, and we're gonna go around and go ahead and introduce ourselves.
My name's Ben.
My name's Jeremy.
My name is Carson.
My name's Troy.
My name's Tyler.
My name's Christian.
And my name is Eli.
Alright, so I'm gonna get into a little bit of the origins of how this podcast kind of came to be. So we all graduated high school together, and our senior year we had a Bible semester project where we were given the task of, hey, you need to find something that's going to help you grow closer to God, but that's also going to challenge you throughout the semester. So we all decided to talk to our Bible teacher about doing a Bible study every Friday morning during our Bible class at a local coffee shop. And so we started doing that. We started meeting every single Friday in the morning, and we would be there for 1.5 to 2 hours depending on the Friday. And then we'd get into God's Word, we would pray, we would share what's going on in our lives, and ultimately I feel like we grew a lot out of it. And then some of us felt convicted to start a podcast. And so now we're here. Now we're starting a podcast, episode 0. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So basically, just to get into our time, we're just going to go around and talk a little bit about our testimonies, where God has led us from in life, and where He's bringing us right now, and just, sharing a little bit about ourselves. And I'm going to go ahead and start that. So basically, I was born into a Christian family that didn't really know God whatsoever. It was kind of like what it says in the Bible. We had a form of godliness, but we were denying any Holy Spirit there whatsoever. And it just, in my early life, it led me into a lot of sin struggles. It led me into just tons of death, honestly. And my mind was contorted. My heart was hardened. I had really no faith in Jesus Christ, and it wasn't leading anywhere towards me having a faith in Jesus Christ. Looking back at myself, I don't think there's really anything except for God's plan for my life that could have actually led me to Him. And that just led up to all of my childhood, and then one day my mom decided that she wanted to put me in a private school, faith Christian school. Led me to the same school as all these guys here, and still nothing really changed from that. I was still waist deep in death, waist deep in sin, up until around freshman year of high school. I think it was freshman year. When COVID started hitting, I got really sick. I had COVID and pneumonia. I was very close to death. There was a month stretch where I didn't know if I'd wake up the next morning at all. I had a little thing on my finger that was telling me how much oxygen was in my blood. It would keep on going like below a certain number, and if it went below that, it was kind of like risky. And if it went above it, I was good, and it kept on going like above and below. And I was just like scared for my life, honestly. I would have my mom sitting at my bedside when I was sleeping, and I was like, Mom, if this goes below this number, wake me up, because I don't want to die the next morning. And thankfully she was there and helped keep my nerves through that. But there came a point, being so close to death, and not knowing if I was going to wake up the next morning, I just drove me to God. I was like, God, I know you're real. I have no faith with you. I have no connection with you. I know that I'm really not a child of God, and I'm waist deep in my sin. I have denied you my entire life. I don't know anything really about you, God. If you're real, if you're actually out there, can you just help me wake up next morning? And going through that, like for a month long, just completely reliant on God, praying and hoping that He would just give me my morning breath, it really just started a spark. Actually, I don't know if I'd say started a spark, but it started pulling me closer to Him. And I was finally on some sort of a right track. Coming out of that season of just COVID and pneumonia and being sick and worried about if I was going to wake up the next morning. I had terrible anxiety. I just had, the best way I can describe it is just some crazy darkness in my heart from that traumatic experience, and it just left me with terrible anxiety, depression. I didn't know how to talk to anybody. I was just trapped in a dark room for months, and it was terrible. Like, it was terrible to live in that. Every time I got into a big room, because I was trapped in a small room the whole time, I would start breathing super hard. I couldn't like look anybody in the eye. I just couldn't talk. And I was still living in all my sin troubles. I still felt the death from that. And it just kept on going, and terrible stuff would happen in my life and terrible sufferings. And I didn't know how to deal with it. It just added on to my slack and just kept getting worse and worse and worse up until the point where I had nowhere to run. I felt completely unsatisfied in life. I felt the physical and spiritual death that comes from not being connected with Jesus. We were made to have a relationship with him, and just not being with him was killing me, really. So one day I just decided I can't keep running from him. I went and opened up my Bible, truly gave my heart to Jesus, started reading in Proverbs, and I was bawling my eyes out. That was the start of this year. And I just felt a crazy peace. I asked God, Lord, please take away this hole in my heart. Please take away all this anxiety, take away all this death that's just overwhelming in my life right now. And he took it away in that single prayer. Ever since then, I've really haven't felt any anxiety. I haven't felt any of that darkness. I've just been able to live in his peace and grow closer to him. And of course, it's not all perfect. I'm not perfect at all, but I'm walking along the path now, and coming to this senior year in this Bible study and walking with these guys, I don't know what happened, but recently in the past like month and a half, God just dropped this crazy faith on my head. I don't know how it happened. It's just, he's really just drawn me closer to him, and all glory to him for everything in my life, because I couldn't have done any of this myself. Just, I'm walking in this new faith and this new light just because of the sacrifice that Jesus had on that cross. And it's just crazy because everything that's wrong in my life is now just resting with him, and I get to have him represent my soul. It's all new. But that's my testimony.
Yeah, so I'll be sharing my testimony next. I grew up in a Christian family. My parents did split at a young age. That affected me when I was young, but my dad, he went to a Christian college. He had that foundation in the Lord. My mom, same thing, very active in the church. So I kind of grew up in the church. Growing up middle school and mostly through high school, there's a lot of problems, like with my lust, my language, my pride, my ego, which was just holding me back from my relationship with the Lord. Junior year, I was kind of my lowest point. I was very lonely. I felt like I didn't have many friends. But my dad kind of helped me through that. Take me to church. He advised me to get closer to the Lord because it's the only relationship that I truly need. So thankful for him. Going into senior year, Troy, he's been a light to me this whole year, and honestly for a while. But he invited me to this Bible study. And that's really where my faith kind of became true. My relationship with the Lord has never been stronger than it is right now, and it just continues to grow day by day. I am still relatively new to my faith, so I'm still learning a lot from these guys and from the people around me, but yeah, that's my testimony.
All right, so I guess I'm going to start with mine now. I would say growing up, I grew up in a Christian home. My dad passed away from an early age, so I don't have any memory from him. He died a month before I was born. But I still had my mom. She was a great, she honestly fears God. She's a great woman. I love her so much. And just kind of growing up, I've always been to a Christian school, like Christian preschool, Christian elementary, Christian middle school, and high school. So I've always been around that environment. But going into middle school, I feel like there was a flip, a switch in my brain that just all of a sudden I didn't love God
Like I feel like when I was younger, I really had a relationship with God, um, and I genuinely like knew that God was the answer to everything. But kind of going into middle school, I stopped. I stopped praying. I stopped thinking about God. I stopped desiring Him. I just really desired whatever I wanted and whatever made me happy. Um, so it kind of led me down to a dark path, especially like that seventh grade. It was kind of like 2020, so it was a pandemic. I was at home. I was doing whatever I wanted. I had filthy language. Like it was just really a huge problem there, and uh, I thank God that I was protected all the way through that. But it kind of just led me into some bad habits that went on throughout my also like half my high school experience, if not more. Um, Really, I just during that time period of like seventh grade to like junior year, I hated God. I didn't want anything to do with Him, and I went to a Christian school, so that didn't really match up well, and I really started to resent the lessons I was learning, resent honestly other people who love God, and um, I was at the point in my life around my junior year that I felt so lonely. I felt like I had no one. I felt like there was no escape of my sin because I hated God and I didn't want to go to Him. I had a veil over my eyes and I couldn't see. And really, it wasn't until I experienced some family trouble that um, I just kind of started thinking, I'm just like, where is this going? Like, where is my life going right now? Like, there's nothing going for me. Like, I have nothing. And I really just, the path I'm going down is just gonna lead me. Cause I knew like the Christian principles. I had a ton of information, but I would just be blind to it all. And, really it didn't help me. And I kind of started seeing that, I mean, you got to go to God at some point. Like he's real. I knew He was real. I didn't want anything to do with Him. So there's a night I was my junior year. I was just crying alone in my room, and I started praying, and God, all of a sudden I just felt this like presence of the Lord, and really just started convicting me, and showed me how what I was doing is wrong. And then right then and there, I didn't flip a switch, but I continued in my sin until around like the middle of my senior year is really when it was around we had a senior retreat, which was amazing at our school, and like it just blew me away. Like it was amazing. It was like a refresher of my faith. And right then I decided, like in that middle of the senior year, like January, that I would kind of devote my life to Christ and really stop caring about whatever it is that I wanted, and more of that what it is that Christ wants for my life and His will. So yeah, that's kind of how my faith actually started. And right now I'm doing my best to honor God with the things I think, say, and do, and really I'm just trying to grow in my faith and spread the kingdom of Christ. So that's my testimony.
So my testimony is I was raised in a Christian family, Christian home, and then my parents also split up when I was pretty young, and that's when I stopped going to church and everything, and I don't think I ever really took my faith too seriously until, let's say, until after I graduated high school, which is pretty recently. Um, I just I would just always try to look for just I was just trying to look for happiness in just all the wrong areas. I was pretty lost. I mean, I always loved the Lord um, throughout everything, but I just wasn't following Him in what He was telling me to do. I was my life was just caught up in sin. I wasn't listening to Him. and I realized that that's no way that you should be living. And so I recently made the decision to get baptized to proclaim my faith. So it's what I've just been trying to work through improving my faith and just learning more about Him.
So my testimony starts back in good old Frankfurt. I was born there and I've been raised there my whole entire life. I've lived there too. But I was actually born into a Catholic family. My parents are Mexican and they come from a Catholic background. Ever since I was a kid, um, I've gone to the Catholic church. Well, not until like 4 years ago, but I've been going to the Catholic church, and it wasn't really like a thing to just go to and actually learn. For me, it was just like, okay, I have to go to church with my parents, and I can have fun with all my little friends that are with me. Um, but a couple years later, when I started um, kindergarten, my oldest brother, he decided he wanted to go to faith, and that's where we all are now. But when he got there, all my brothers decided to follow his path. They all went to state high school, freshman to senior year, and then it finally caught up to me, and I finally went there. And it was like what 4 years ago, so it was 14. That was like probably when I first started to learn what Christianity is and like introduce myself to my own faith. Because my whole family just made a transition from Catholicism to Christianity. And so it was a really big change, and especially because my whole life I've been going through like the public school system, and now I'm going like to Christian setting, it was a big change, and I was really scared. But I found good friends, and I had challenges my freshman year there, but I ended up going on a Tennessee mission trip that I'm just laughing because he was there. I ended up going on a Tennessee mission trip that sort of changed my life because when I got out of it, I committed to going to church for the first time ever in my life and consistently going to church and trying to be a better person and better my life in different ways. And I've been going there ever since, and I finally been able to understand what having my own faith feels like. I got baptized sophomore year, and that was really powerful and good thing I did in my life. But I've had some trouble since then, and everybody gets spiritual highs, so I've had ups and downs. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at right
My name is Carson. I'll start my testimony. I was very blessed to grow up in a Christian household. Both my parents were saved when they were younger, and so I grew up going to church. And I was very blessed to have gone to a small private school called Faith, as they've said, my whole life. I've known a couple of these guys all my life. A lot of them just came along the way. I went from preschool all the way to senior year and graduated just this past May. In elementary, I was kind of quiet. I only really had like one close friend, but I didn't really realize like how significant it was that I was at a private school. I kind of just thought everyone was getting the same like education about Jesus being based into everything. Towards the end of my fifth grade year, I started to realize that it was different, and just through a couple of friendships I had outside of faith, I realized they weren't getting the same education. And I realized even at such a young age that it's such a blessing to have that privilege that my parents were paying out of pocket for me to attend this Christian school so I can um, just have Jesus in my life. So that's when I decided I wanted to get saved. I did. And then as I entered middle school, um, my close friendship with this one person just kind of started to drift away as new interests came about, like sports and getting involved in relationships and stuff like that. And so I started to also try and chase that, but unfortunately, I'm not as athletically blessed as some people, and my social skills weren't there. So for a long time, I felt kind of lost, and every time I tried to fit in, I was just um, made myself feel worse. And that kind of continued all the way through middle school. Eighth grade year, I kind of gained some confidence. Started try to like get more involved in my faith through my Bible, but I was still like not really striving after Jesus. I was more striving after trying to be athletic, trying to make friendships and be popular. Um, And my freshman year, I kind of realized that none of this was really working, and it kind of went out that way up until my junior year when I really hit rock bottom, and I kind of renounced my faith. I didn't really think God was real because I didn't really see any blessings in my life. I saw everyone else around me getting blessed and nothing really happening to me, so I didn't think that. But eventually, I did get something because I just kept chasing after relationships and friendships and worldly fame. And I did get something, and then my faith kind of came back, and I realized this is what I've been waiting for. God is here. God is with me, and that to an extent really helped my faith. I started getting back in the Word and stuff like that. That was the beginning of my senior year, and then towards the end of the first semester, uh, that was probably the lowest point in my life. I lost that relationship in a terrible way, and I got rejected from my dream college, and just a whole bunch of bad stuff happening to me. But at this point in my faith, I was prepared, and I had realized that God uses challenges in your life to build your faith, and not necessarily just to tear you down, as I had previously thought. And I realized that actually a Christian told me that there's a hole in my heart, and I was seeking to fill it with a worldly relationship or just worldly desires, whereas I need to be filling it with my relationship with Jesus. And that's when these guys invited me to join their Bible study, and I'm incredibly blessed that they did because I wouldn't be here now. And I realized that all the trials and struggles I went through only strengthened my faith and allowed me to be here right now. And yeah, I'm looking forward to just attending college this coming fall and continuing to grow my faith.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my testimony, I grew up in a semi-Christian household, meaning my family believes that they are walking with the Lord, but they're not. Like they hold Christian values somewhat, but they don't live for Jesus. They don't have a relationship with Him. And so I went to church from when I was born till about second grade. My family went to church. Then my mom started school, and she was kind of a slave to the grind. And so as a result of that, my family dynamic kind of changed quite a bit. My mom was working a lot, and so was my dad. So my parents were never really home. We stopped going to church at that age, and so I was kind of just home and alone with my older siblings all the time. I have three older siblings, two younger, and so it's just kind of like a full house of just kids. I would kind of just watch Minecraft videos or, just sit around doing nothing. I was home a lot. I also have gone to Christian school since kindergarten, so my parents have sent me there. I went from kindergarten until my senior year, graduated. But from the time of like second grade up until my freshman year, I hadn't gone to church at all. And my parents' marriage hasn't always been the smoothest sailings. No one is, and they're not perfect, but they would fight and stuff on occasion. The police were called a few times before. Anyway, just a rough kind of family situation going on. And then my eighth grade year, middle school, I just I don't know where I adopted it, but it's probably seventh, eighth grade year transition. I just started cussing like a sailor. I was consumed by lustful thoughts and actions. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted people to think I was the cool kid. I wanted people to think that you know, um, that they wanted to be my friend. That was basically and I would blend in with whoever I was with. I was like a chameleon. If I'm with these people, I'm gonna act like them. If I'm with these people, I'm gonna act like them. So I just wanted everyone to accept me and to, love me. And all this time, haven't had a relationship with the Lord. I'm not living for Him. I look at my household. I don't see Him anywhere. I go to school. They're saying all these things about what's happening, and I'm just not seeing it in my home life. So I just came to the conclusion that it wasn't valid. Um, so my eighth grade year, I started dating my now fiance, soon to be wife, and it was going awesome.
Yeah.
And then later on, I made some stupid decisions. Her dad was justifiably upset and wouldn't let me see her at all. And that kind of hit me hard because my family dynamics going rough. I was wrestling at the time and I was cutting weight. This is in freshman year now. But anyway, freshman year, relationship basically gets cut off. My parents had told my siblings and I that they were going to get a divorce, and we were also in the process. We had just moved back into our house after it had burned down. It burned down my 6th grade year, didn't get finished till like the end of my 8th grade year. So I'm adjusting to all these new things. And then my relationship gets cut off. Wrestling, I'm cutting weight. I weighed 145 at the beginning of the season, was wrestling 126. And I was sub 6% body fat. So I was just very lean, very exhausted, very tired, very depleted. And throughout this season right here of life, I cursed God. I hated him. I didn't understand why he was taking these things away from me. I didn't understand why things were going the way I wanted. And my first initial reaction was to just hate God and to turn from him. I didn't believe in him to begin with, but now I was just angry if there was a God. I was angry at him. And so then after a while, though, I came to the conclusion that this wasn't working. Cursing God wasn't working. So maybe I should talk to him. And so I remember one night I just was like, what, I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna pray about it. So I prayed to God, and I asked him to help me with just the situation I was in and all this stuff. And after that, sometime after, my fiance's dad, my future father-in-law, he started inviting me to go to church. He said, "Hey, you can hang out with Grace, but only on Sundays." He's like, "And you have to go to church with us." I was like, "All right, I'll go to church with you guys." So I started going to church with them, and I don't think the Lord really tugged on my heartstrings until the end of my sophomore year of high school. So I had been going to church for like a year and a half with my fiance and her family. Seeing how their family was just so much different than mine. Just they love the Lord, they live for the Lord, they go to church, they're involved in community, they're reading their Bible, they're talking about it, like just a completely different dynamic. So what my idea of Christian household had been was completely skewed, and I was now seeing it for the first time. And so my sophomore year, I remember we were watching these Matt Chandler videos on marriage and parenting. And I just remember like my eyes watering. I felt teary eyed. Like I felt like he was speaking right to me. I felt like he was talking about my situation. Everything right that he was talking about that was supposed to be going on in household, I saw in my fiance's household. And everything wrong, I saw in mine. And so I kind of, in a way, was jealous of that. And my heart kind of hurt for that. And also later on, like the same month, I went to a Traders Point service, and they were talking about parenting and marriage. And I just remember in the middle of the service, I just start bawling. Like I'm bawling my eyes out at the end of the service. They're worshiping, everyone's standing up, and I'm just sitting in my seat, head tucked down. I'm crying, and my fiance was asked me what was wrong, and I just kept crying. And I think it was somewhere in that time where I really gave my life to Christ. I just acknowledged that His way is better, and my heart longed for Him. My heart needed Him. It desired Him, and so I gave my life to Christ towards the end of sophomore year. Continued to go to church. Continued to grow in my faith. He has continued to bless me and continued to allow me to grow closer to Him. And then he gave me a new spirit, gave me a desire to change my sophomore year. So I started changing. Wasn't perfect, wasn't fast, still working on some things, as we all are. And so just continued to grow in that. And then now we're at our senior year. This second semester, first semester, I was baptized. I finally took that step to get baptized, and I got engaged in the same weekend. And so that was a pretty big weekend for me. God's continued to bless me and to grow me, and He's preparing me for these next stages of life. But yeah, that's my.
Tyler, I know it's your turn, but can I add something to that real quick?
Yeah.
So that baptism, was actually like also another like building block to at least my faith. It was like amazing, like seeing those people, like literally Troy got baptized with like how many other people did you get baptized with?
There's like 30.
Yeah, there's like 30 people, and you're just watching them getting baptized and worshiping God. Like people are singing, people are throwing their hands in the air. Like I was literally crying. Like it was beautiful. And I know like some of us were there too. Like it was just amazing. So that was also another like building block, at least for my faith, that like helped me make the push to kind of, But anyway, sorry, Tyler. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my testimony, I grew up in a Christian home, and my dad he worked in ministry that was like his only full-time job ever since he came out of college. My mom, her only job, she was a stay-at-home mom, but before that, she was also a part of that same ministry. So I grew up in a Christian home around Christian people and kind of had my own Christian bubble. And I always thought of myself as like a good kid, and I didn't really realize like how evil I was until like how evil my heart was until I was older. But in those early years, um, my parents told me about accepting Jesus into my heart when I was like 6 or 7 years old. I accepted him, and I think there was some genuine like acceptance there, but I didn't really understand. I couldn't grasp the concept at that age. And so as I got older, 8 or 9, I got baptized. I still didn't really have an understanding of what that meant, but like I said, I think it was genuine. Um, but really, in the grand scheme of things, I was more obsessed with like kind of not going to hell. It was like a safety net to me. Like having a relationship with God wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted to not go to hell. And I struggle with anxiety and depression a lot. And so throughout my um, earlier years, I was just trying to save myself from going to hell. And so going into middle school, my anxiety got pretty extreme, and I switched to the Christian school that we all graduated from when we were going into 6th grade, and I just had some extreme problems with like the switch, and I had anxiety, and so there was a 2 week span at the beginning where I would throw up every morning before school because there was just like this nervous like acid buildup that would come from me being extremely nervous. I can't really explain it, but I throw up every morning before school, and I'd get made fun of by my siblings, and so the anxiety led into embarrassment, and later in middle school it led into depression, and so I got like really angry with myself and kind of hated myself for a long time there. And my relationship with God was just I'd come to him when I needed him, and only when I like wanted something or was at a low, and there was no real like back and forth there. It was just like God was waiting at the door, and I was just like coming to him for convenience or like whatever. And so more anxiety came when I learned more about Jesus and understood that my salvation wasn't just, oh, knowing that he exists, now I'm saved. I had to have a relationship with him. I started learning when I was in 8th grade. And so that led to some more anxiety where I was so worried I was going to go to hell that like there would be nights where I wouldn't sleep, or there'd be nights where I'd be like crying in my kitchen, asking my parents about stuff. And um, I don't know, I eventually was led to start reading my own Bible, and I had probably accepted Christ 100 times before that. But once I actually had a relationship with God and started like talking to him, I realized that my acceptance, I already accepted Christ, but acceptance is only part of it. It's the relationship um, that is what earns you, or not earns you, but what brings you salvation through grace. And so I think officially saved when I was a freshman in high school, and since then I've been growing. So that's my testimony, and then also I'm going to talk a little bit about what this podcast is going to look like in the future. We're going to have one podcast every week for the rest of the summer, which should be, I think, until late August. But we are all going to college, except for a couple of us next year. And so there's going to be a lot of us that will be out of town. We can only do like 3 or 4 of us per podcast. Or we're gonna have a podcast every week, but most of the weeks will probably be 3 to 4 people. Next week, we're going to be talking a lot about what it means to be saved and what your faith really looks like. Um, But yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I say something real quick?
Of course, bro.
Okay, man. I just wanted to talk about community real quick because
I think you need your microphone for that.
You're right. I might need my microphone. Yeah. I just wanted to talk about community real quick because in each of our testimonies, we talked about how big of an impact just the meeting every Friday with like a group of believers was to our like personal faith. It's crazy because I feel like just we started this walk at some point in our faith and to now where we are and like just starting this podcast and everything. I feel like just a crazy amount of faith has just been like dropped onto each of us. And it's just so encouraging to see. And especially in my own life, I don't know if I could have gotten here by myself. Of course, Jesus brought me here, but this group of guys, like genuinely, thank you to all of you guys. It's just literally grown my faith like crazy. And if you're a believer and if you don't have at least like one strong Christian friend or partnership in your life, like I feel like that's a necessity. Like how it says the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a kid." It takes a lot of believers to like grow your personal faith with Christ. Like it's just a blessing and it's amazing. So I really encourage you, if you don't have somebody that just you can just go and pray with, talk about the Bible with, or share your struggles with and get advice from, you like need to find one, really.
Yeah.
Can I say something as well?
Of course,
Our
bro.
teachers used to talk about in school that our salvation is not a group, or is not an individual project; it's a group project. And so fellowship is a necessity, like you said, and we need to be always with other Christians and helping each other grow and learning from each other.
I heard from a wise man, B.H. Johnson, that your faith walk isn't a solo sprint. It's not a 400-yard dash. It is an ultra marathon. Ultra marathon runners, they run insane distances, and they have a team of people that are there to help support them and are there to help make sure that they are doing okay, that that their heart rate is good, that they're whatever they need, basically. That's what that team is there for, and that's how your faith walk is. Your faith walk is not really a walk; it's a ultra marathon. You're running the race, and you need that community around you to help you get to that finish line. And ultimately, Jesus will give you that strength to be able to continue, and He supplied you with those people in your life as resources.
I'll share some wisdom from the book of Hebrews. Hebrews 10:24-25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching."
I want to add on to what you guys are saying about community. I really think it is, like you guys said, it is really helpful. For me, for example, I don't think I would have been baptized or have any faith in the Lord if it wasn't for my friends here.
Yeah, and then like, sorry if somebody was gonna say. One thing about this group though is that we have like this kind of like positive peer pressure. So it's like once like one of us is like kind of, I feel like it all kind of like started from like those two, like Tyler and Troy, like as they started changing, I was like kind of thinking about it, but I wasn't like doing it. And then I saw like that you guys were trying to kind of living it out. I'm not saying I did this because of you guys, but like I'm saying, so don't feel your pride or something, but I know you won't. But once I kind of saw that, I was like, dang, maybe I should kind of give this a try, you know? And it's like, it's just like convincing others, like of your close friends, to like start getting in the Word and in the Bible themselves. Like it's like once you guys started doing that, and it was kind of like I was kind of skeptical at first, but then like I tried it for my own, and like it's been amazing. Like I love spending time with God. Like reading a book of the Bible seems so easy now than like 3 years ago, you know? Like I would have like struggled through that. But yeah, I think like Christian community is amazing. Like especially like with your church too. You can talk to anybody at your church. Like it's just beautiful. I love it so much. So thank you guys for that as well. So anything else, guys?
Socials.
All right.
Socials.
Schultz?
All right.
I mean Eli.
No,
Sorry.
Schultz. I'm
Schultz.
gonna be praying this out.
You got to get your mic though.
Oh shoot.
Gosh, guys, we gotta just clip it on.
Probably just click it on. Yeah.
Heavenly Father, I come to you in thanks today as we, get this first episode 0 in the podcast. I think that everything has gone relatively smoothly. Lord, I thank you for these guys and them sharing their testimonies and being vulnerable. Lord, I appreciate that, and a lot of those things I didn't even know myself, so I'm thankful for that. Thank you for these guys constantly building me up, building each other up. Like I just said, that positive peer pressure is really impactful, and I'm just really thankful that this group kind of applies that onto each other. Lord, I pray that everyone's days would go smoothly. I pray that the rest of this podcast would go smoothly. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 I want to thank you guys for watching. And if you're interested and you want to continue to support us, you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and Twitter. All the links will be in the description. And like I said, or like we all said, fellowship is important. So if you want to tell us where you are in your faith, leave a comment, and we'll reply to you. Just kind of help you out the best we can. And, yeah.
Or even like DM us. Like you could DM us
on
like
Instagram.
yeah, on Instagram.